Well, that's the question on everybody's lips, however, based on the kind of form and the kind of confidence that Mark Webber's got at the moment, that won't be a question in his head. He will now be focusing firmly on, once again, for 3 consecutive races, having a pole to flag victory. We can see the rest of the guys all coming in there. Lewis Hamilton, he starts second for this Grand Prix. You can see Felipe Massa just being weighed there at the moment. He starts in 8th position. Vasily Petrov, he starts in 9th, and Kamui Kobayashi, he starts in 10th for tomorrow's Grand Prix. But the man of the moment is Mark Webber. He's probably celebrating and screaming and shouting somewhere. Michael Schumacher, we'll discuss quite what the issues are and the implications on him there. We'll let you know what the situation is with the tyres he has to start the race with tomorrow, because of course they do have to start the race on the tyres with which they set their fastest lap. So we'll explain all of that while Felipe Massa asks Lewis Hamilton, I wonder why I'm down there in 8th position. I wouldn't mind being a little bit faster. So, Fernando Alonso did not take part in that session. He starts in 12th position for tomorrow's Grand Prix. This is the incident. This is the reason why he didn't manage to get himself into the pole position shootout. And bear in mind, he also had issues in Monaco 2 weeks ago as well. So there's Fernando Alonso. Not a happy boy at the moment. He's been talking to Lee McKenzie.
Imagine you're rapidly falling out of love with Saturdays. What was today's problem?
I think Saturdays has been one of my strongest points, so I still very calm. Tomorrow is the race, so we need to take points tomorrow as much as we can, and we see. Today we didn't been quick enough. In Q1 we were already 9th and 10th, so it was very on the limit. So in Q2, in 2 or 3 tenths you can be 3rd or 12th. So unfortunately we were 12th today, but we deserve it maybe because we were not quick enough, so we need to improve for tomorrow.
It just shows you dropping that rear tyre. One little error can cost you. It's so tight.
Yeah, I pushed very hard in that lap, but anyway I was slower than my fastest lap, so I knew that was not enough, so I pushed, but I don't think that that moment cost me the Q3. I think it was just 3 laps more or less in the same time, so the limit was there.
If you'd have joined us pre-qualifying, you would have heard the president of Ferrari tell us that F is for Ferrari, F is for Formula One. Well, at the moment, F is also for frustration. Let's hear from the team principal, Stefano Domenicali.
Well, Stefano, tell us what happened with Fernando.
To be honest, I don't know. I think that for sure the performance of today in qualifying was not really at our standard. We don't know yet why, because it seems that we were for sure not at this level. So really, at the moment, just to say that we need to understand why.
Did Fernando say he just made a mistake?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't spoke during the qualifying lap. You know, we speak after.
And Felipe's performance, 8th, about what you expected on an important weekend for the team?
No, I mean, for sure we were expecting much more performance, no doubt about it. So we need to understand why we didn't show in qualifying.
And they're both using the F duct, but that's working well, okay?
I mean, well, in respect of what you're saying, I mean, well, for what we are seeing in terms of the performance today, we shouldn't be satisfied, that's for sure.
Well, F is for fight as well, and Ferrari will have to fight from 12th and 8th on the grid, bearing in mind, of course, Felipe Massa is a pole position expert around this Turkish Grand Prix circuit. Well, not really the way they would have wanted to celebrate their 800th Grand Prix, David.
Very disappointing, I'm sure. A little bit confusing to try and understand why have they dropped that much pace around this track. We discussed beforehand that it's a sort of similar feel to the Barcelona track. Obviously Ross Brawn explained that a bit more medium speed than low speed corners here in the second half of the lap, but yeah, that's curious. I'm looking forward to finding out exactly what the problems were.
Yeah, those are the boys, of course, at the very front. Sebastian Vettel just checking over the car. Lewis Hamilton and also Mark Webber. We'll hear from them in the driver's press conference in just a couple of moments. But as far as Ferrari are concerned, once again, F could stand for firefight. That's what they've got to do in the race tomorrow. Fernando Alonso, a few times this season, has ended up right at the back, yet he is still currently just 3 points off the lead in the Drivers' Championship. He's a driver that can drag that Ferrari from 12th.
You say that, but what was the absolute thing that hit me with that interview? He said he was at the limit. He was at the limit of the car, and he's 12th on the grid. It's clearly not good enough. I think for the first time, he actually now believes he's not going to move up.
Yeah, I think that the straight line speed of the car is good though, and it is incredibly close out there between himself and right up as far as third place Sebastian Vettel. I think that clearly Hamilton and Webber have a bit of an advantage, but for the rest, I think we'll be able to see him move forward in the race and score some points.
Well, you can see us here in front of the enormous McLaren brand centre, and what they want to do is try and gate crash the Red Bull party, and one of their drivers got close to doing that this afternoon. Of course, they've managed to split the two Red Bulls. Lewis Hamilton starts second, Jenson Button starts fourth on the grid. We can now hear from Jenson Button.
Jenson, fourth place today. You happy with that?
It's not too bad, but the last run was a bit frustrating because you know, being the last car on the circuit is sometimes a good thing because you get the cleanest track. But there's obviously more chance of someone going off, and Michael went off in front of me on my last lap. And when there's a yellow, you've got to back out of it, obviously. So I just came straight in because it wasn't going to be quicker because of that. So yeah, that's, you know, it wasn't perfect, but it's not bad to be P4 on the dirty side of the grid. But yeah, we'll see what we can do from there.
Obviously, the Red Bulls are still quick out there, but do you think that your guys have made the jump that you were hoping for?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're a lot closer to Red Bull than I expected this weekend, so it's positive. My biggest problem has been turn 8. I think we've run the car too low. I wanted to keep it low for the rest of the circuit, so I'm hitting the ground so much through there, and it's that's where my time loss is. So yeah, you know, it's a risk we took, and there you go. But even so, I'm fourth on the grid, so it's not too bad. How
tough is it going to be able to work these tyres tomorrow? Because it's a long, hot race.
It is, and with a lot of fuel on board, it's going to be pretty tough through turn 8. A bit worried about that, but I'm sure we'll be fine. And tyres this weekend have been good. You know, we haven't had any issues with tyres, with chunking or overheating or anything. So yeah, we're pretty happy with that. Hopefully, other people are having a few issues, and we can, you know, capitalise on that.
Well, Michael Schumacher's spin may have scuppered Jenson's final chance to put in a super hot lap there at the end. I think overall, though, McLaren should be pleased with the kind of pace they've brought here to Turkey.
I think they'll be extremely happy with that performance. You know, it's less than 2/10 difference from the pole. We know that Mark Webber's on the crest of a wave right now, and the Red Bull has had a very impressive speed advantage in qualifying. So they've clearly outdeveloped the rest coming into this race.
And you know that McLaren love to listen what you have to say about them, Eddie. What do you reckon you want to say about their performance today?
Well, I really try to call it with McLaren how it is, and they have yet again shown to us that they can up their game. They have made big improvements from Monaco, and don't be surprised if Lewis leads into the first corner. He's right on the case here.
OK, well, talking of Lewis Hamilton, he's now in the driver's press conferences alongside the pole position man, Mark Webber.
Mark, I'm not sure what the Australian word for deja vu is, but here we go again. Third pole in a row, and I suppose reward for all the reliability problems you've had this weekend so far.
Yeah, it hasn't been the smoothest of weekends for us in terms of getting the running in, you're right. Obviously, Friday was a little bit disrupted, but not massively, to be honest. That was, if you could ever have a problem with the engine, it's probably the right time to have it. And this morning also we were not having the easiest P3, to be honest, and so yeah, getting ready for quali, things started to get a little bit better, and I was a little bit on the back foot going in, to be honest, but I knew you know, I could dig deep, keep going, and get something out of it. In the end, it turned out okay. To be honest, I'm more comfortable, I think, with tomorrow than I am sort of on out and out pace, but so I'm starting in the right place, and it was a tight fight with all of us, you know, and you know, I think Seb had a bit of a problem with his car, but apart from that, obviously, we're all very close.
You chose to come out of the garage for your final flying lap ahead of Sebastian Vettel. The previous lap, you'd have been behind Sebastian. Was that trying to put more pressure on Sebastian at that stage?
No, I don't know what happened. It should have been me second, but anyway, I think we left too early. I don't know. There was a bit of... We need to see what happened on the pit wall, but yeah, would have been... Normally I go second this weekend.
Lewis, the McLaren might not be as quick through turn 8 as the Red Bulls, but driver makes up for quite a bit in other sections of the track, and you were pushing as hard as I've ever seen you push before.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, you always try to push the car that little bit further, and you know, after yesterday I wasn't 100% happy with the balance that I was able to find, but today was able to fine-tune it today, and you know, understanding the tyres and everything, we really were able to put together a good lap. And I mean, I was very, very happy with that lap. I mean, I couldn't have asked for any more from it. And the team have done a great job as always this weekend.
How vital is it for you that you've managed to split the Red Bulls, thinking ahead to the race?
It feels great. These guys have been untouchable pretty much all year in terms of just pure pace. And so I think it's a real boost for me and my team, just knowing that we have a very good baseline pace, and our race pace is even better, so it puts us even in a stronger position tomorrow. And I know that we're going to continue to push. We've got some new bits coming hopefully in the future, so we'll be able to continue hopefully in the future.
Sebastian, for 3/4 of a lap for your first flying lap, it looked absolutely brilliant, and then it started to go wrong. Talk us through the latter stages of qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, the Q1, Q2 was very smooth. I was happy with the car, and obviously no problems. And then the last quali, the first lap was brilliant up to turn 12, and under braking I slightly locked the front, which was no issue. But then it was very weird because the inside front just kept on locking and never came back. So after turn 12, then going into turn 13, turning to the right, then the wheel started turning again. And then the same thing going into turn 14, the last corner. I locked the inside wheel very easily. The car didn't seem to stop. I just went straight. I mean, I did lose a lot of time there, so that was quite bad. Otherwise, I think it should have been easily quite a lot quicker. And then the same thing, I thought, okay, maybe I was just a bit late. And then the second run, I got the confirmation in the first lap, first turn, when I hit the brakes, and I just went straight. So I lost the ability to stop the car properly, and especially the inside wheel didn't do what it's supposed to do. So I think there's no question. I mean, Q1, Q2, I think we were on top of the game, and then in Q3 we were not anymore. So it's a bit frustrating. Obviously, all weekend I felt pretty good, especially today. The car is back to normal, so I was able to push. And then something else turns up, so we'll see. But it's good to be third. I think we're quite lucky not to be fourth, just for a couple of hundreds to Jensen. Otherwise, we would have had to start from the dirty side. So we're on the clean side tomorrow. Let's see, it's a long race, but obviously, with this year's regulation and no more fuel pit stops, it's a bit difficult to make up places, but we'll see what we can do.
So Sebastian Vettel is looking on the positive side. It's amazing, isn't it? This circuit is such a test for these cars and these drivers, but even the guys at the very front are talking about the struggles. Michael Schumacher may have struggled at the very end, but he comes in 5th ahead of his teammate Nico Rosberg. He'll take great heart from that. And look at that, 9th and 10th, Petrov and Kobayashi, two guys who've struggled in the past few races, make their way through to the final part of qualifying. You just saw Fernando Alonso's name disappearing behind you there. He starts in 12th for this Grand Prix after having an issue in the second part of qualifying. And of course, congratulations to Bruno Senna. For the first time on merit, a Hispania car finishes ahead of another team. That's the boys at the back, but at the very front, Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg are trying to work out just how they can nick past a few guys and make up some places and pick up some big points. Of course, Michael Schumacher was denied some points at the very end of the Monaco Grand Prix after a cheeky overtake, and a cheeky spin has denied him the chance to get back to the pits after this qualifying session, David.
Yeah, he's dropped a wheel out onto the curb in the middle of that very difficult turn 8, and then you see he goes for his pirouette, ruining his tyres. And then here we join him into the corner. Very wide on the first part of the apex, and then runs, never actually catches the apex at the middle of the corner. So I think he tried to get away with it, but unfortunately ended up in the gravel.
And the question people will be asking is, does he now have to start on those tyres that are covered in stones and looking a bit nasty?
No, clearly there's no way you could. Those tyres are destroyed. So even if they were the set that he'd done his quickest lap on, which they're not, he would be able to change those in Parc Fermé.
OK. Schumi, just ahead of his teammate. That's nice, isn't it, for him?
Well, we've seen and heard, Rosberg is clearly, it doesn't like the longer wheelbase car. But that's life. You've got to get on with it. The team leader in this team is clearly Michael Schumacher. For everything he brings and the experience he's bringing, he believes that the longer wheelbase is a better option. So, Rosberg has to get on with it.
OK, well, the team leader behind the wheel might be Michael Schumacher, but the real team leader, as we all know, of course, is Ross Brawn. Let's hear from him.
Well, Ross, decent enough session. Can we start at the end? Will Michael be able to change those tyres?
Yeah, you race on the tyres you set your fastest time on. So obviously he can race on the first set he used in Q3.
But he's out-qualified Nico. Tell us about your drivers' performances.
They're both pretty solid, and we're that bit behind, and I think we're making progress, but so are the others. And we've got to find someone who gives us a step change. But everyone's done a fantastic amount of work, and And when you see that some of the other teams are now dropping back, I'm quite proud of what we've been able to do, but it's just not enough yet.
Thanks, Ross.
Well, Ross Brawn is turning his attention to tomorrow's race, but we've discovered a man standing here in the paddock who's already turning his attention, I'm sure, to the Silverstone Grand Prix. Richard Phillips, the MD of the Silverstone circuit. Now, before we get to Formula One, of course, you've got a rather big day for the bikes coming your way in June, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. We're only 3 weeks away from MotoGP. Big crowd. It's going remarkably well at the moment. I'm surprised how many people are buying expensive tickets, but it's really good. It's going to be a fantastic weekend.
OK, so 3 weeks until MotoGP, and then not long after that, the 11th of June, is the British Grand Prix weekend. And you've got a nice new circuit for us as well. And I've got the thoughts of David Coulthard. He's actually driven me around that circuit. The drivers seem to like it.
Yeah, it's very pleasing. You're always worried when you go into it, building a new circuit, if they're going to like it or not. But they do seem to be enjoying it. And on FIA GTs earlier on in the year, we had some good overtaking on the new part. So we're very pleased with it.
Richard, will you break the Silverstone record for attendance for that particular weekend? I'm talking about the Motor Grand Prix.
Yeah, I mean, last year we had a fantastic turn-up, so we're about 92% of where we were last year at the moment, so hopefully we'll be a similar crowd, which will be pretty good, I think.
You're not going to tell us how many grandstands as well, particularly in the arena section. You'll pack a few in there, won't you?
Yeah, we've raised those grandstands up, brought them forward, and we've put some new banks in places as well, so it's all going very well, so we're hoping to have a big crowd.
And if a few people have just been watching this qualifying session and thinking, oh, I'd love to see a bit of F1 action for myself, are tickets still available? Can people still come down and share in this fun?
Yeah, there's still tickets available. They are going quite quickly now, so it's been a good idea to get your orders in.
OK, thank you very much. We'll leave you to enjoy your life here in the paddock. I'm sure you've got various people to go and chat to and things, so thank you very much. Nice to chat to you. Looking forward to the British Grand Prix. It's amazing how quickly it comes around, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for us, of course, it's fantastic to be in Silverstone. Great venue, very historic circuit. It's been upgraded many times over the years. They've invested heavily there.
OK, well, Christian Horner knows how it feels to win at Silverstone. He knows how it feels to win all round at the moment. No matter where we go, Red Bull are fastest. Now, you looked a bit aghast when I said to you before qualifying, well done on your pole position already today. That's the confidence that everyone's got in Red Bull at the moment, and you did it. It seems no one can get near you.
Yeah, no, it was a great performance by Mark. You know, some components turned up just before the start of the session. We had 3 quick drivers today, including Cengiz, that bought the components from the airfield just up the road. But great performance by him. Desperately unlucky for Seb, you know, who deserved better than that today.
Yeah, we saw the in-car footage of Seb having some issues with his front wheel locking, and he mentioned it in the press conference there as well. Have you had any chance to talk to the engineers to try and understand what was happening?
Yeah, we've been looking at the data. It was clear that on his penultimate run, he was, you know, massively up going into turn 12, locked up, and he thought that he'd run in a bit deep. But it appears at that point, we think that something's broken at the rear of the car, a spring or something like that, and that was clearly evident on his next run. So, you know, desperately unlucky for him today because he lost a good 6-7 tenths in that last sector.
Sam Michaels from Williams described the fact that he was doing everything possible to copy your exhaust system. Is that the greatest compliment you can actually receive from a rival?
Yes, because that's probably the least area where the performance is.
And now you've just let the cat out of the bag. I suppose the concern for all these teams is you've just revealed to us you had parts coming at the last minute. We saw people running around carrying parts for this Red Bull. You're the fastest. You're leading both the championships, but you're not really taking your foot off the gas, are you?
No, I mean, we're up against some massive opponents. I mean, when you think that we're racing Ferrari and McLaren, big historic teams with huge resource, and it's testimony. I mean, we had a guy sitting, you know, with a component at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, waiting to put it on an aeroplane to get it here, to get it on Mark Webber's car, to put it on pole position, which is, you know, testimony to the kind of effort that's going in at the moment. And yeah, it's great to see.
OK, Christian, thank you very much. Very best of luck for tomorrow. Just to remind you, of course, that it's not far until the British Grand Prix, and we think that perhaps that weekend it could be the biggest crowd outside of South Africa watching possibly the World Cup final, who knows, with England in it, because, of course, we are getting very close to the World Cup indeed. 11th of July is, of course, the day of the final, and Gabby Logan's been to South Africa to see all the build-up. You can see that 1:40 BBC One. 2:10, it's the Challenge Cup, Leeds Rhinos versus Wigan Warriors. That should be a good one, the quarter-final there. And there is tennis on the red button right now with the French Open. And, of course, we're back 12:10 tomorrow for the race for the Turkish Grand Prix. And if you would like to hear, or even more reaction, if you would like to hear from some of the drivers, perhaps Michael Schumacher, about how his qualifying went, then, of course, you can just check out the BBC Sport website before tomorrow for all of the reaction from today. Eddie, thank you very much. David, thank you very much as well. Well, we all know what everybody's talking about, don't we? Once again, there is no change at the front in Formula One. A different day, the same old team. Red Bull are the ones to beat.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. right for you. May not be right for some.